Today, we're going to unlock some serious race pace. We'll almost do it with a touch of a single button once we properly understand how that button works and when should we press it. The button we're talking about is a tool for rotation, a tool for inducing under or oversteer. It's literally at your fingertips as one of the few settings you can change to your car while driving. It's something I covered extensively in my sim racing course, so this will be a nice little addition if you're already enrolled. Yes, we're talking about brake bias, and we're gonna make it work for your specific driving style. Our goal when racing is to use all the 4 tires as much as we can. If we increase the brake bias too much, the braking force will be distributed more towards the front tires, while the rear tires are relaxing. Your fronts might be sliding once those tires go past the grip limit, but the rears are almost on rails. The car is prone to understeer, and we're not able to carry too much speed into the corner because of that. Conversely, if we decrease the brake bias too much, now the braking force is distributed more towards the rears. Now the stress on the rear tires can reach a point of going past the grip limit. The car will start sliding with the rear tires and oversteer. While this is a more dangerous approach since the car can easily spin, lowering the brake bias will give you a better efficiency under braking and that extra rotation. If you can handle it, then you'll be able to carry more speed into the corner. Lower brake bias will gonna give you a stopping distance which is gonna be shorter. The car will stop in a shorter amount of time, but with the downside that you will lose some stability. You will be able to induce oversteer by lowering the brake bias, so you'll be able to get a bit more of rotation out of the car. If you increase the brake bias, you will induce some understeer, meaning the car will rotate less. Why would you want your car to rotate less? Well, there's a case for that, of course. And when lowering the brake bias, you will manage the front tires more. You will keep the front tires alive. You will keep them in a good operating window, especially if you have a track in which you struggle to have the front end pointing. Conversely, if you increase the brake bias, you're gonna manage more the rear tires, meaning if you have a car on a track that you're struggling with, that the car feels like it's spinning in almost every corner, then you have to manage the temperatures and you have to manage the rear tires. The way that you manage them is by increasing the brake bias. So here's the change that you might want to try. I think this can give you a lot of lap time. If you're not spinning the car in every corner, lower your brake bias. If the balance of the car is mostly towards understeering, meaning you're not spinning the car yet, you could benefit from a lower brake bias because you will gain a bit on the braking zone, you're gonna brake a bit more efficiently, you will stop the car in less time, you will gain on entry, but also you're gonna be able to rotate the car more with the brakes because the rear tires are gonna work a lot more now. You will be more at the limit with the rear tires and overall you're gonna use the 4 tires more. That's gonna be super important. So lowering the brake bias will give you 2 big advantages, of course, if you're not spinning the car. If you have few corners in which the car is sketchy, the car is sliding, the car is oversteery, then for those corners keep that brake bias, even increase it, but then decrease it for the other types of corners. And if you're driving fixed setup, especially for fixed setup, you have to lower the brake bias. The default brake bias on a fixed setup is way too high. Our goal will be getting that neutral balance in every corner. So let's say we have a corner in which the car spins a lot or it's very hard to keep it on track. Our desire will be to get to a neutral balance. So if the car is already oversteery, we have to bring some understeer to balance it out to get that neutral balance. So our desire for a corner in which the car spins a lot is to induce some understeer. And we can do that by increasing the brake bias. The opposite is going to be with the oversteer. You want to generate more rotation. You have a corner in which the car doesn't turn as much as you want, then decrease the brake bias. It's not too late to gain more lap time by using something that has been there all the time. Changing the brake bias is gonna give you a lot of options and is gonna make you a more flexible driver, especially when you will start fiddling with a lot of different setups. I don't recommend changing the brake bias 10 times per lap, it's too much. 2 to 3 times should be enough. If you have to change it 10 times per lap, it means that your default or the baseline brake bias is way off. You have to find that baseline brake bias by applying the things we discussed in this video, and then you have to tweak it for those 2-3 corners per lap. If you have a low speed corner, if you have a high elevation, low elevation. So those are cases that we didn't discuss here. You can find information about it online. You can find it in books. You can find it in my own course. I hope this was valuable to you, and looking forward to see quicker sim racers in all the races I'm going to be part of. Bye bye.